I was once the powerful young master of the prestigious Giang family, yet I was nailed to the city wall with arrows, left to die. My entire clan was exterminated, leaving none alive, all because of my foolish younger brother's desires. If only he had pursued a commoner's daughter, it would have been fine. But no, he had to desire the lead female, the rose amidst thorns. You must know, she is the official wife, blessed with the protagonist's halo. And so, my entire family became sacrificed for the heavenly chosen one. But now, I have transmigrated into the body of the Giang family's young master. To avoid my previous fate of dying on the wall, I have decided to kill my foolish younger brother as an offering to the heavens. In this current timeline, my younger brother Jiang Xing has just stolen our father's military order. This event marks the beginning of the Jiang family's decline. The protagonist, Lin Pinggan, was originally a lowly prisoner. By chance, he was assigned to investigate a case of embezzlement in the capital. With the help of Si Tianjian, he successfully cracked the case and gained the favor of the lead female, Chu Kaiwei. Their encounter was quite laughable, really. It was simply because Lin Pinggan discovered Chu Kaiwei hiding under a table and stealing chicken drumsticks during the investigation. And just like that, they fell for each other at first sight. As for the reason my younger brother stole the military order, it was because Lin Pinggan encountered danger while investigating a case in Jiangsu. He was besieged in the city by the rebel Zhuli tribe, facing life and death. In grave peril, Chu Kaiwei urged Jiang Xing to steal the military order to provide aid to Lin Pinggan. It was because of this incident that my family was punished by the Empress Dowager. On the streets of the capital, I whipped my horse relentlessly, not slowing my pace. In the blink of an eye, I arrived before the gates of the Si Tianjian sect. Several disciples of Si Tianjian blocked the entrance. What are you doing here? This is the Si Tianjian sect. Outsiders are not permitted to enter. Hearing this, I arched an eyebrow. With a kick to the disciple's chest, I sent him flying. He immediately clutched his chest in pain and fell to the ground, respectfully. I was somewhat surprised by my own strength. How could a mortal be so powerful? I didn't even use much force. Yet he went flying, suppressing my doubts. I circulated my inner energy. The Si Tianjian sect has kidnapped my brother Jiang Xing, I bellowed, and stolen the military order from our supreme commander. I am here to apprehend the criminals. Let's see who dares to defy me. The soldiers who accompanied me drew their swords in response. The aura of war and killing intent raged violently. But to my surprise, Chu Kaiwei and Jiang Xing did not appear. I could not help but twitch my lips in annoyance. My previous self was too soft on my younger brother, which led to the downfall of our entire family. Now he's playing hide and seek with me? I might as well just kill him and be done with it. After all, father still has me, his other son. Even if he scolds me and disowns me from the family, it's better than being dead, isn't it? Let's see who dares to make trouble at the Si Tianjian sect. At that moment, a young master hurried Excellent timing. The fourth senior brother is here. The fourth senior brother arrived. Look at how arrogant this fourth disciple is. This evil young man injured brother Liu. The disciples cried out in alarm. I narrowed my eyes. So you are the real fourth disciple, I said. Shinziu smiled faintly. Indeed, it is I. Before he could finish saying young master, I slashed out with my sword. The treacherous secret agent Xingziyun circulated his martial art to block my life-threatening strike. Crimson blood blossoms bloomed in the sword's light. A hideous gash appeared on Xingziyun's chest. How could you be the fourth disciple? The disciples' proud smiles all vanished. An eerie silence fell over the hall. Chu Kaiwei and Jiang Xing, who were secretly watching from the second floor, broke out in a cold sweat. As for me, I was utterly baffled. The great conclusion that was supposed to happen at the end of the original story had arrived within the Four Halls realm. I gathered my thoughts and stepped heavily into the Four Halls realm. King Ziyu covered his wound and involuntarily gasped. You, stay right there. This is the Supreme Sword Hall. Aren't you afraid of punishment for treason? I am merely apprehending a criminal. It is you people who are unworthy. Even if the Golden Lord came, I would ask how he taught his disciples. The Golden Lord is a supreme master, unmatched in martial arts, but he would not lower himself to fight a junior like me. You dare defy Jiang Xing? Do you want me to punish you myself? Eventually, I stopped in my tracks. The supreme sword involved secrets of the royal family. I could not be too reckless. As the words fell, a door on the second floor quietly creaked open. Jiang Xing followed meekly behind Chu Kaiwei. Trembling, he stepped forward. I haven't shown you the military talisman. Hand it over quickly. Or do you want to wait for my father to return from court himself? Jiang Xing drew his dagger and held it to his own throat. Brother, please pretend you never saw this. When father returns, I will take all the blame. But if you insist on taking the talisman, I would rather die here. Resorting to threats, are we? What a sincere love this is. I feigned a pained expression. Very well then. You two can marry here and now. The military talisman is the foundation of the Jiang family. I will not sacrifice it all for an outsider. As long as I return the talisman, I can avoid the Empress's punishment. The Jiang family can endure it. Hope flickered in Jiang Xing's eyes. He looked delighted, but Chu Kaiwei seemed indifferent. I'm so sorry, she said coldly. Excuse me, young Master Jiang. Please do not force this matter. For Jiang Xing. Chu Kaiwei's indifferent words were like a bolt from the blue. Jiang Xing's expression visibly fell. Why are you still dazed? She doesn't like you. Quickly take back the military tally for me. I snorted coldly at Jiang Xing. Jiang Xing gritted his teeth. Tears welled up in his eyes. Still, I cannot return the military tally to you. Even if Kaiwei doesn't like me, I will only love her in this lifetime. As long as I treat her well, she will understand my sincerity. What a stupid fool. A dog-licking fool is truly you ungrateful wretch. You should die, providing you with the best resources. And now, for a woman, you are threatening me with death. After all, we share the same mother. It was my mother's fault for not educating you. The matter of the military tally ends here. Leave your supreme bone behind. From now on, we brothers will go our separate ways. Do not claim to be a member of the Jiang family when you're out there. Jiang Xing's face turned deathly pale. His legs trembled slightly, almost causing him to kneel on the ground. Those with the Jiang family bloodline are born with a supreme bone between their ribs. This bone will continuously grow, reaching a level higher than its host in the later stages. Jiang Xing had dug out his own supreme bone to heal Chu Kaiwei's wounds. Yet Chu Kaiwei showed no signs of rejection. Her cultivation even improved rapidly, becoming the male lead's right-hand man. I do not have much familial affection for this brother, so I can let him go, but I must take his supreme bone. Otherwise, this dog-licking fool will surely harm me in the future. Choose either return the military or leave the Jiang family to follow your goddess, I said coldly. Jiang Xing turned his pale face away, gazing at Chu Kaiwei, as if hoping to find a hint of concern on her face. But all he received was disdain and impatience. What was she impatient about? Oh right. She had to hurry and go rescue Lin Pinggan. I cannot let Kaiwei be sad. If Lin Pinggan dies, she will definitely cry. The dagger left Jiang Xing's throat, slowly moving to his chest, circulating his inner energy. The supreme bone was carved out from his chest, slowly moving to his chest, circulating his inner energy. The supreme bone was carved out from his chest. Jiang Xing handed the supreme bone to the Jiang family steward I brought. Lai Fu received it with trembling hands, cold sweat soaking his back. If the master knew he had lost the military tally and caused this bloodshed between the Jiang family brothers today, he might not keep his life. Without his supreme bone, Jiang Xing's cultivation level dropped by hundreds of levels. He bowed to me, then staggered towards Chu Kaiwei. Elder brother Jiang, as good as a father to me. Today I have taken your supreme bone, stripping you of your noble Jiang status. From this moment on, the rise and fall of the Jiang family have nothing to do with you. 20 years of nurturing kindness. The royal lineage is crossed out with a stroke of a pen. You can go and help your goddess now. I can loosen my grip on the military tally. In fact, I still have a backup plan. Relying solely on one military tally, I cannot mobilize all the armies. At most, I can only move a few thousand soldiers, or even give advance notice. Under the pretext of military training, it can be covered up. Kaiwei, let's go and rescue your friend quickly. Don't worry, I took out the blood-stained military tally from my heart and handed it to Chu Kaiwei. Chu Kaiwei used her inner energy to absorb the blood from the military tally. She felt a strange sensation, something disappearing from within her body, while I felt a searing heat in my chest, where the supreme bone was. My cultivation had improved somewhat. Looking inside, the wrinkles engraved with secret spells on the supreme bone became clearer. Could this be the heavenly Tao covenant? At the same time, in the distant Jiangsu, Lin Pinggan and the Jiangsu prefect were besieging a 6th-level expert. The two, with perfect 7th-level cultivation, managed to suppress the 6th-level expert. It must be said that they fit the main character mold. Just as Lin Pinggan found an opportunity and severely injured his opponent, an indescribable discomfort surged from his chest, causing him to slow down in avoiding the enemy's lethal strike. He was struck heavily by the enemy. Lin Pinggan fell to the ground, clutching his wound. The Jiangsu prefect seized the opportunity and beheaded the enemy. He spoke, Pinggan, how are you? I'm fine, just a bit unlucky. My energy drained for a moment. With that, the Jiangsu rebellion ended, with Lin Pinggan injured. Let's return to the four heavenly realms. Since Zhang Xin is unrepentant, after retrieving the supreme bone, I'll leave with my men. Just as Chu Kaiwei put away the military tally, she suddenly had a hunch. She took out a heart-communicating jade hairpin from her waist. The flying sword glowed brightly. Clearly, a message had arrived. Chu Kaiwei's expression brightened as she read it, her once cold face breaking into a radiant smile. Great, Brother Pingan is safe. He even killed the rebel leader. Her joyful words completely disregarded Zhang Xing's feelings standing beside her. Kaiwei, shall we go to Jiangsu? No need, Brother Pingan is already heading back to the capital. Thank you. Here, take your military tally back. You should quickly beg your elder brother to take you back to the Giang family. Holding the slightly warm military tally in his hand, Zhang Xing became dazed. Could he really go back home? Miss Kaiwei, my brother won't let me return. Can I stay by your side and serve you? Zhang Xing's eyes shone with the last glimmer of hope, as he pleaded humbly. Chu Kaiwei pressed her index finger against her chin, considering for a moment. If you wish to join the four heavenly swords, simply take the examination. You may be assigned to any of the senior brothers. So stop staring at me. I must prepare to welcome Brother Ping An. Despair seemed like a fish on the shore, waking up feeling unable to breathe. Why could a 15 or 16-year-old girl utter such cruel words? Tears eventually welled up in his eyes. His chest ached even more, not just from the wound, but also his heart. Darkness enveloped him as he collapsed to the ground, unconscious. The Zhang family manor was brightly lit tonight. Zhang Wuxing sat silently on the main seat, sipping tea. Seated below was me, kneeling on the ground, all over, drenched in sweat. Father's killing intent had been locked on me for 2 hours. He wouldn't know that I had transmigrated. He probably wants to kill me to avenge his sons. At this moment, Zhang Wuxing finally spoke. What did your mother say when she died? Is this how you take care of your younger brother? Number 2. His actions will ultimately harm the Zhang family. I frowned and spoke, while Zhang Wuxing let out a light sigh. Releasing the pressure of a second-rank martial emperor attacking me, I gritted my teeth. Deciding to lay it all out for my father, I activated the family's secret technique, Supreme glowing like silvery scales, emanating a luminous aura. The Zhang family's secret technique is called Heaven Sealing Manual. It can borrow the power of the Supreme Bone to forcibly raise one's cultivation to the same level as one's innate realm. Zhang Wuxing's eyebrows rose slightly, a hint of surprise flashing in his eyes. Father, let me speak frankly. Briefly gaining the power of the third rank allowed me to finally catch my breath. I calmed my thoughts to properly recall Zhang Wuxing's nature. Zhang Wuxing had never hidden from me his desire to seize the throne. Only the original body was too foolish, only knowing martial arts, completely oblivious to father's schemes. So I directly stated, the Zhang family's path to prominence should not be sacrificed for an imbecile. Father's ambition cannot be exposed to public view yet. As if seeing me, his eldest son, for the first time, Zhang Wuxing had never expected such words to come from my mouth. He asked in response, and what does crippling your brother have to do with it? Seeing Zhang Wuxing's reaction, I knew I had bet correctly. Zhang Xing is infatuated with Chu Kaiwei, a junior sister of the Monitor. That's not an issue. As a son of the Zhang family, no woman is unworthy of us, except the one seated up high. But Zhang Xing's mistake lies in his lack of restraint, foolishly giving Chu Kaiwei a military talisman to save someone. Such a dizzying situation. Upon hearing this, Zhang Wuxing nodded silently. You've worked hard. In the blink of an eye you'll need 3 bottles. Your father is very gratified. I was delighted in my heart. It seems you've succeeded. But I still replied indifferently. I dare not say it was arduous. After all, he is my brother from the same mother. I was too harsh on him. I didn't take good care of her. Zhang Wuxing stood up and waved his hand, interrupting my words. Actually, I will investigate this thoroughly. She is not obsessed with women's charms. You did well in this matter. It creates a false impression, which can let our enemies lower their guard. There are many things I haven't concealed from you. Do you brothers still not understand? I will tell you when the time comes. I didn't expect you to take it to heart. I heard from the butler that you want to participate in the imperial examination. Why do you want to mingle with those impoverished scholars? Silence your name. I will just reveal my plan. To achieve lofty ambitions with your father's official position, the Empress would not allow your brother and I to lead troops into battle again. The martial arts alliance. We have basically achieved our goals. Over these years, in the Dazuan Imperial Court, the martial artists and scholars have been incompatible. I want to join the scholars and rally some people. Zhang Wuxing pondered for a moment, then said, those scholars prize academic pedigrees. They are from great scholarly families. If you mingle with them, you may suffer some indignities. I laughed foolishly, father. I am not accustomed to being bullied and wronged. I fear these bookworms are too spoiled. Ha ha ha, good boy. Then you can show off yourself. With your father here, those old fellows dare not bully you. I will take your brother out for a few days. You broke his supreme bone, deprived him of his manhood. I will not allow you to revoke the punishment. However, per your mother's wish, I cannot abandon her completely. I will find a place to properly train her. From today, the Giang family has no general, only a traveler. The next morning at dawn, birds were singing, flowers blooming, were tended to. A wonderful new day for my younger brother had arrived. He should have gained an opportunity for secret development. The young master Lai Fu suddenly popped out from the window, startling me. I hit him reflexively, scolding, Lai Fu, do you want to die? Young master, I'm sorry, Lai Fu said. I was just in a hurry, for this butler who had loyally served our Giang family since my childhood. I could not truly blame him. What is it? Speak that has quickly. Made you panic like this? Lai Fu rubbed the lump on his head gingerly. Lin Pinggan, the one you told me to watch. He became flustered like this. Lai Fu rubbed the bun on his head, smelling the aroma. The Lin Pinggan you asked me to watch out for has returned. They say he brought back people from the Zhuli tribe, the martial monastery, and for swords he rubbed his sent people to greet him. I recall this plot. After pacifying the Jiangsu rebellion, brought back the Zhuli tribe princess Lin Mo, who wished to return to the capital. Because the Zhuli tribe had the merit of fighting alongside the founding emperor in history, the tribe was spared from extermination. But Li Muir was detained as a hostage in the capital. This Li Muir is a great beauty and proficient in the ancient Zhuli tribe's arts. As the current holy maiden of her generation, she possesses a sacred relic passed down logically speaking. The Zhuli should hate Lin Pinggan for causing their failed rebellion. Yet under Lin Pinggan's sugar-coated offensive L Muir surprisingly developed feelings merely because of a few sugar figurines. She even became his secret lover in the end. I'll have to intervene in this matter. The enemy's friend is the future enemy. After all, the Zhuli tribe's sacred relic is rather at the docks of the capital. Chu Kaiwei fidgeted with her beside fingers, her, anxiously waiting. Spoke up. Look, junior sister, a lone boat appears on the rippling river surface, imposingly tall. Lin Pinggan leapt off the boat, his feet treading on the water's surface. He strode forward, stirring waves on the river. Spectators around gasped in amazement. Treading on water is a feat of the 6th level martial king realm. Lin Pinggan is only 23 or 24 years old level before 30. Shin Zixiu remarked, junior sister, you were right about Brother him. Lin is indeed unparalleled. Hearing the praises, Chu Kaiwei felt delighted. This was the man her mentor had approved of as her destined partner. Of course, he would be no ordinary person. Lin Pinggan flipped and landed nimbly on the shore. If the heavens didn't create me, Lin Pinggan, an eternity would be like a long night. I've kept you waiting, Miss Chu. I, Pinggan, have returned. Tearful, Chu Kaiwei was about to throw herself into Lin Pinggan's embrace. But at that moment, I intervened. Who dares blatantly trespass at the eastern docks of the capital? It is I. With a casual palm strike, Lin Pinggan was blasted into the river. Chu Kaiwei's legs went weak, and she collapsed to her knees. My overwhelming aura had stunned her and jumped into the water to rescue Lin Pinggan. After recovering from her daze, dare commit such violence in public I'll report you to the law enforcement division. I frowned, releasing my 4th level insolent commoner, daring to defy my authority. Shin Zixiu reacted quickly, hurriedly jumping into the water to rescue him. After recovering from her daze, you dare commit such violence in public again. I'll report you to the law enforcement division. I frowned, releasing the insolent commoner of my daring to defy my authority. Before disembarking at the capital's docks, one must present entry permits. Failure to do so constitutes trespassing, and warrants detention and interrogation. This man blatantly trespassed. Of course I had to intervene. My overwhelming aura and unshakable legal authority. For air. Lin Pinggan's companions trembled, their legs they whispered among themselves in hushed tones. Who is this 4th-rank cultivator? It's the Giang family's young master who barged into the fortunate stars did the Giang family encounter. To have produced such a monstrous 4th-rank 30 years old. Chu Kaiwei felt as if her fist had struck empty air. The fury stuck in her chest left her gasping. Shin Zixiu dragged Lin Pinggan out of the river water. He angrily shouted, who are you to launch a sneak attack? A sneak attack? I did warn you beforehand. You're clearly a 6th-rank expert. My apologies. I used excessive force. I laughed and scratched my head. Ah yes, where are your entry permits? If you can't produce them, I'll have to take action. Lin Pinggan patted his chest in alarm. Please stand down, sir. Ah, right. This is my entry permit as governor of Jiangsu. Don't make things
The
difficult
small
for
boat
my
Lin
friend.
Pingin was on
Governor
arrived just
Zhao Huo
then.
vouched for Lin Pingin,
Diffusing the situation.
so it was Lord Zhao. My apologies. I accidentally injured your friend. Would he like to recuperate at my residence? Zhao Huo inwardly cursed. How had Lin Pingin offended this young menace? His father could shake all of the capital's 3 districts with just a stamp of his
outwardly,
foot.
no
Zhao
need
Huo
to trouble
smiled
the
and
young
said,
master.
I must escort the prisoners to face judgment. Very well, go ahead. It seemed the plot remained unchanged. As I pondered, a young lady descended from the boat. Her fresh, makeup-free face held youthful beauty. Sure enough, it was Li Muir. A stunning beauty worthy of being a female lead. I inwardly admired her looks. As I examined her from head to toe, our eyes unexpectedly met. With a faint smile, I gave an imperceptible nod of acknowledgement. Then I turned and left, leaving Lin Pingin glaring hatefully at my back. Li Mu pensive. As I strolled down the street, I felt the supreme bone in my chest grow slightly warmer, and its quality more crystalline. I understood then. Each time I suppressed the supreme bone's quality improved. In a way, this indirectly, our gazes unexpectedly met. With a faint smile, I gave an imperceptible nod before turning to leave, leaving behind Lin Pingin glaring hatefully at my back. Pensive Li Mu. I strolled down the street, feeling the supreme bone in my chest, emanating warmth once more. Its quality becoming more crystalline and translucent. I understood then. Each time I suppressed Lin Pingin, the supreme bone's quality improved. In a way, this indirectly increased my own and strengthened my hidden trump cards. However, why hadn't that palm strike at the docks killed Lin Pingin? That full power palm strike, without using the supreme bone's power, should have been fatal to any ordinary 6th rank cultivator. Could this be the work of heaven's destined fortune? How terrifying. But since suppressing him improved the supreme bone's quality, then as long as I persevered, no matter if he was the main character, a son of destiny, or an invincible martial deity, he would be no more than a speck of dust to me. They are all nothing but native chickens and dogs. Early the next morning, I hurried to the imperial examination grounds. It was nearing the start time of the exam. Many students rushed into the examination hall in a hurry. Wei Shan had been meticulously planning for this imperial examination for months. Now, everything was proceeding according to his arrangements. For his father, Wei Yuan, was the current prime minister. Thus, from a young age, he led a clique of offspring from prominent officials, with him at the helm. As the son of the reigning prime minister, he should have immersed himself in an ocean of knowledge. But alas, beauties and indulging in sensual pleasures were his true loves. Now at 30 years old, the maximum age for the imperial examinations, though he could persuade his father to extend the age limit, Wei Shan had devised a more perfect plan. If he could drive out those warrior offsprings, and those impoverished commoners without connections, preventing them from taking the exam, he could smoothly pass the written test. Yet here came a martial arts practitioner. Why must these uncouth people take the exam? Stealing his rightful place? You, sir? The entry time has passed. You cannot enter now. A lowly servant blocked my path. I was taken aback. I glanced at the sun, brows furrowed. There's still nearly an hour before the exam starts. Shouldn't there be a sundial in the courtyard? Let me take a look, see if the time has truly passed. But Wei Shan extended his arm, blocking my attempt to bypass the servant. My friend, since my colleague says the time has passed, then it must be so. Why don't you go to the 2nd floor lounge at Guanchao Pavilion and have a few drinks? I've arranged a banquet there to entertain you gentlemen. I rubbed my nose. Now I see clearly. He's trying to prevent me from taking the exam. I disdain those insipid policy questions anyway, which only give me a headache. If someone's scheming, so be it. I spoke directly. Oh my. Your surname, Wei. Could you be related to the Prime Minister? Wei Xin's face showed you've caught on. Indeed, he is my father. You haven't asked for my full name yet. It's Wei for your pleasure today. I shall treat you to drinks later. I smiled faintly, leaned in and whispered to Wei Xin's ear. He froze. What, you're from the Giang clan? My palm struck out with a whistling sound. The blow sent me flying into the exam hall, crashing at the feet of a scholar's statue. He spat out a mouthful of blood, glaring at me with furious eyes. You, a mere martial artist, dare come to the exam grounds and lay hands on me? Kill me! Kill me! I scoffed at Wei Xin's lackeys. With just these useless fools, you want to kill me? In the midst of our conversation, a black shadow flashed by. I vanished from the perilous gaze. Then one figure after another slammed onto the dangerous one. Heaving a sigh, couldn't make it up, directly passed out. Clapped my hands, I looked helpless, sensing the aura. This salty flavor seems to be of an unrefined cultivator. How can he be so unbattle-tested? As I was pondering, a surge of righteous ki rose from within the Confucius temple. Its might even made me feel a bit of pressure. Who dares to disrupt the examination hall? Wei the great scholar, someone has started a fight. The young master Wei has fainted. One of the dangerous one's lackeys, hiding in the crowd, stuttered as he said, "These days in the capital, you have been quite domineering." Wei the great scholar spoke with a calm expression. I scratched my nose, nonchalantly. You old man are quite the hypocrite. Yet you acted so unscrupulously before, obstructing other candidates from entering the exam. Why didn't you manage that? Wei the great scholar glanced at Wei Shan. Understanding dawned. His nephew was indeed capable of such deeds. Wei the great scholar paid no heed. It was just that he could not openly admit it. Thinking thus, a plan formed in his mind. He directly said, insulting a teacher, "You shall receive my disciplinary ruler." The book scroll raised his ruler. Righteous ki erupted from his body, as vast as a river, at the 5th or 3rd level of power. Moreover, its mutative nature made it even harder to deal with. The disciplinary ruler's attraction speed wasn't very fast though. I simply dodged back to evade its attack. Old man, you're going too far. I have no time to deal with you. I'm not afraid of this old fellow. The destructive power of the scholarly can't match the martial. Moreover, we're in the capital. It's impossible to truly go all out. It's just that the imperial examination is about to start. I don't know if I can still enter after it has begun. Continuing to mock and scold, Wei the great scholar's ruler's speed was clearly faster than before. In the blink of an eye, it closed in. You are courting disaster. I unleashed a tornado blast. Whirlwind clashed against the ruler's edge, emitting a startling screech overhead. My expression turned grim, pushed back 3 steps by the ruler's force. I had revealed my trump card, the 3rd level invincible bone art. But this was not yet the time to go all out. Chang clan youngling, how dare you act so audacious? My cold voice rang out. 2 figures clad in black appeared before me. Stealthily kneeling down, these 2 were my bodyguards since youth. My close protectors who grew up beside me, Zhang Feng and Zhang Nu. Zhang Feng took out a bird whistle and blew it hard, following the sound of a nightingale's cry. The entire street fell into dead silence because of the dangerous one's obstruction, while the out-of-town students who failed to enter the examination hall could sense an atmosphere of solemnity and execution in the air. They exchanged bewildered glances as a few high-ranking officials' sons who remained at the scene to watch the spectacle cheerfully observed everything unfolding. Their eyes were full of mockery as they watched Wei Daru, while Wei Daru himself revealed a grave expression for the first time. Thud, thud, thud. The orderly sound of footsteps echoed from the end of the street. Those with weaker resolve immediately went limp. Kneeling on the ground, 500 armored imperial guards marched in perfect, solemn strides of the imperial army. The imperial throne is at my side. Those with spiritual cultivation probed carefully, and could sense that these 500 men were all 6th level masters, wielding armor and weapons, none of which were ordinary. Their leader was even a 5th level expert, on par with the martial arts world and the Giang clan's forces. The Giang family's Black Spirit Guards. Wei Daru gritted his teeth and called out their name. The Black Spirit Guards were the Giang family's elite soldiers. Openly, apart from the Empress herself, they only obeyed commands from Zhang Wuxing. Young Master Zhang, I think there may have been some misunderstanding. I will thoroughly investigate Wei Xin's matter. The examination has already begun. Since you've missed the scheduled time, please withdraw. Do not disturb the other students. Not wanting to escalate the situation with the Black Spirit Guards present, Wei Daru could no longer lecture me. His face darkened as he realized this. I missed the imperial examination, which will affect my future plans. Lining up to fight the enemy. Wei Daru never expected I would be so formidable. The Black Spirit Guards changed formation, concentrating all their might on me. The overwhelming aura of an army enveloped me. When reading martial arts novels, I always wondered if training ordinary soldiers in the higher realms was even useful. But now, experiencing it firsthand as the formation's focus, I could feel the immense power generated by the cohesive formation. I finally understood. Against peers of the same realm, the formation's focus is invincible. But against higher realms, it remains ineffective. You dare act this way before the Confucius temple? How dare you lay a hand on a great Confucian scholar? Wei Daru was still shouting threats of severe punishment. When I said, then let this young master show you how hard my fists are. Focusing all my strength, I struck out with the Black Spirit Guard's combined might. My lethal intent locked firmly on the great scholar. There was no way to evade. Wei Daru's face drained of color and dread. Disregarding any sense of dignity, he cried out urgently for help. Sacred One, save me. He had just awakened from a daze. Wei Shan heard his uncle's cry for help. Infuriated, he coughed up blood and passed out again. Not far away, at the doctor's academy, a more powerful and pure imposing aura burst forth. A middle-aged man's voice came from inside the academy. Young friend, please show restraint. I paid him no heed. I landed a punch directly. Murderous intent filled the air. In the blink of an eye, I was before Wei Daru. Wei Daru tried to block with his ruler, but the poor man's teeth were shattered and blown apart. The young struggled to learn the old ways. Every inch of time cannot be taken lightly. In that mystical moment, the aging force of the long river of years enveloped everyone present. Their body seemed to rewind like a movie reel, reverting to years before. The power of the second realm's rules. My face was grave. Young friend, do not be so rash. For a great scholar to die in the capital would not bode well for you. The middle-aged man, clad in white robes, moved with the grace of a dragon and tiger. This man was one of the capital's only to sage realms. I had a plan. I said, it was but a rash student's doing. There was an injustice today. The student could not contain his anger, thus injuring another. Zhu Sheng nodded. Those who read books must be steadfast in heart and mind, unlike the martial artists, whose temperaments are easy to understand, enjoying battle and ferocity, needing to restrain their pugnacity. This naturally goes against reading and learning. And many impoverished students suffer hunger, struggling for survival each day, reading few books, naturally falling behind academy students. So in Wei Xin's case, though I disapprove, I never intervened. After entering court as an official, under the Prime Minister's guidance, he will surely shed his old habits. Hearing this, the generals drinking and watching the commotion, as well as the impoverished students, all lowered their heads. You really are quite senile, Zhu Sheng. My words were like thunderous lightning, directly disrespecting the sage. What did you say? You dare be rude to a sage? Wei Daru was the first to attack. Zhu Sheng waved, sending him flying. He smiled at me warmly. I continued speaking. A sage realm is still not a true sage. By martial standards, they are but under the sage's realm. Calling them sage is but a title for their strength. Your knowledge and reasoning do not convince me. Then what is your differing view? Zhu Sheng's smile faded. His expression grew serious as he asked. I let out a light laugh, turning to leave unhurriedly. I feel there are no high or low classes in this world. Anyone can read books and express their own views. Everyone can read books. Turning to face the elders, I said, enunciating each word, I wish everyone in this world could soar like dragons. I, the youthful scholar, will never grow old with the heavens. I, the youthful scholar, have no boundaries with the nation. Suddenly, the red bells in the National Teacher Academy rang out in unison. The statue of Confucius in the Confucius Temple emanated a dazzling brilliant light. Zhu Shengmi's brows furrowed slightly. Wei Daru's face changed drastically. This is an insightful observation. Why would there be such a prosperous era? The insightful observation resonated widely. What kind of observation is this? From a martial artist. How could he gain such insightful observation without first becoming a Confucian scholar? He spoke recklessly. For the first time, Zhu Sheng directly addressed Wei by his full name, interrupting his murmuring. Gazing at the trembling, radiant statue of Confucius, Wei regained his composure before Zhu Sheng. He is making an insightful observation for the heavens and earth. What an arrogant young man, to make such a grand wish. If he cannot fulfill it in this lifetime, he cannot become a Confucian scholar. But he is merely a martial artist. Is he aspiring to become a martial sage? Just as Wei Daru was about to retort, he was silenced by Zhu Sheng's cold gaze. All right, you are a sage. What you say is correct. The strange phenomenon had not yet subsided. Amidst the trembling, the Confucius statue actually cracked open. The students in the exam hall had no idea what was happening outside. Lin Pingyan felt extremely lucky today. As soon as he opened the exam paper, at that very moment he saw the question. He knew it was time to show off. The young man Mingzi. This question was the same as the one in his dream. He already had a perfect answer. It was the poem he had memorized from his dream. Writing it down would definitely earn him top marks. Just as he was about to start writing, suddenly, the clanging of the red bells and tremors came. This interruption broke his concentration, as if something had left his body. The poem he had memorized was now forgotten. He could only sit dazed at his desk, deep in thought. The tremors gradually subsided. A magnificent aura burst forth from the cracks of the Confucius statue, enveloping me in a refreshing coolness. A chill pierced through my mind. I suddenly felt my mind become more nimble. Many memories from my previous lives became clearer. I stopped in my tracks and said to Zhu Sheng, "Since you think us humble folk, who study at the community schools, are inferior to the academy students, why don't you announce the imperial exam questions and let everyone answer them on the spot? The great scholars here can judge for themselves." Seeing Wei Daru's confident demeanor, the bookman nodded. Wei Daru then announced this imperial exam question for the young man Mingzi. The surrounding students pondered upon hearing this, wondering how they would answer. If it were them taking the exam, would they write an essay quoting classics? It is writing articles quoting the classics and following the Meiji era, or emulating the ancients and serving the court of the Meiji era. Ha ha, with this I shall be a great scholar. What profundity is there in the court? I waved my hand, signaling Zhang Feng and Zhang Yu to lead people away with me. Little Zhang, do not speak recklessly. The topic is what you asked. Not answering means you cannot answer it. The great scholar Wei mocked derisively. Listen well. I paused, pretending to ponder slightly, then looking as if I had it all figured out. I took the first step. The great rock takes flight one day, riding the wind, soaring upwards for 90,000 li. I wonder who the bell of the National Teachers Academy offended today, for it has started swinging madly again. Another thought came. Could this matter really succeed? An excited student cheered. I took 2 more steps and continued reciting, bidding the swaying willow be at peace. It could yet wrap the reflection of Master Zhongshu, but I could not hold it in, shattering completely. The shattered pieces fell down, fiercely striking Zhang Shan on the head, causing him, just awoken by the cries of his infant son, to faint again. 5 steps taken, the 3rd line came out. The world calls me the unsuccessful scholar, whose every profound word draws but cold laughter. I looked at the great scholars Wei and Zhu Sheng with a cold, mocking smile, my eyes full of disdain. The wind swept in from the horizon, as a flock of birds rushed towards the ancestral temple. Zhang Feng and Zhang Yu, both with mouths agape. Ah, young master, is this ascending to heaven? The drunken officials also got excited watching the commotion. A portly one waved his hand. Today's drinks are on me, Lord Zhao. To celebrate the great teacher Jiang's heart spreading across the land. Meanwhile, the great scholar Wei prayed inwardly, praying I would not succeed in spreading it across the land. Otherwise his unjust judgment today would be recorded in the histories, passed down for ages. The final 2 steps taken, I recited the end of the poem. An old poet, wandering at the gate, not yet an accomplished man. A man should not be slighted. When young, following a teacher, a wondrous fragrance emanated from my body, as countless petals appeared from nowhere. And on each tiny petal was written the events I had just acted out. The birds grasped the swirling petals in their beaks, circling me anxiously, as if asking the name of my poem. I smiled faintly, uttering 3 big words, spreading the master's teachings. An aged voice came from the original position of the sage in Philosopher's Lane. Is this the sage's recognition, good sir? The great scholar Wei fainted. Once the sage comments, none can overturn it. The smaller sages take lower seats. The great scholar Wei has lost his chance to redeem his tarnished name. At the highest level of the four heavenly swords, a figure sat cross-legged, murmuring to himself. Birds that had waited for so long, scattered with fragrant falling petals. They would carry verses throughout the great enlightenment, truly passing it down to the world. The sons of warriors cheered. The humble students wept with joy. The great Wei scholar's legs went weak, and he knelt formlessly on the ground. Was this not a startling, breathtaking talent? But alas, not allied with my ideals. The scholar sighed. With a wave of his hand, the great Wei vanished. At that moment, my heart raced. Damn, how could those in charge just leave? Passing it down to the world, shouldn't I be exempt from the written exam? Still being tested. The examiner has left. What's going on here? All right, let's all calm down. A woman in regal robes, adorned with a golden crown and jade ornaments, approached from the palace. It was the great Lady Li. I stepped forward to stop her. Lady Li, please arbitrate for us. Why can't we take the exam? That's right, I've passed down the world's teachings. How could I be deemed untalented? Unable to pass the imperial examination, the crowd voiced their cries. The great Lady Li raised her hand to quiet them. A warm, soothing aura calmed the restless hearts. I, Lady Li, congratulate the young master on passing down the world's teachings. I bring a decree from Her Majesty. Having heard of your success, Her Majesty permits those who compose verses to bypass the written examination and proceed directly to the interviews. Furthermore, I am appointed the new examiner. All students may re-enter the academy for evaluation. One word from me, and you will know. Events unfolded as expected. The observing students cheered loudly, some even shouting "Long live Giang." I was about to lead them to escape in secret, when the great Lady Li called out, "Young Master Giang, Her Majesty offers you a chance to compose for the Emperor." How to put this? One could say it was within my expectations. The Empress was fond of literature. Chinese martial arts stories directly caused my father to act in defiance. I cupped my hands in a gesture of respect. "Please convey to Her Majesty," I said, opening my mouth. I know in the examination hall, Lin Pinggan clutched his messy hair. He stared blankly at his own examination paper. Where there's a will, there's a way. That was all, just that one line. He felt he should expound on this title, relate an illustrative anecdote, and write an expository essay. But for some reason, after picking up his brush, his mind went blank. There should have been inspiration to assist his writing. But nothing happened. He just stared at the topic the whole day. Damn it, why was this happening? Indignant and ashamed, Lin Pinggan finally broke down. He tore up his examination paper, then left the examination hall in a huff. He summoned a young cleaner, a boy in blue, to Lin Pinggan's study. Why did this gentleman tear up his paper? What was the topic? Where there's a will, there's a way. Can those with will really achieve anything? Or we mere worthless beings? The young cleaner in blue sneered contemptuously. He swept up the scattered papers. I'm speaking up for poor scholars in the examinations. News of my direct confrontation with the venerable scholars quickly spread through the capital. Many who had abandoned their studies were inspired by the line, "The soaring bird takes wing, borne by the wind, riding the clouds up to 90,000 li." Even the coarse sons of military men, for the first time, realized that in their nest was hidden a phoenix. For a time, I became a subject of discussion among the military circles over tea and meals. The child others' parents talked about. After the imperial examinations, I had a rare few days of leisure. Today my maternal aunt, the consort Lu, summoned me to the palace kitchens. I was a little puzzled. My aunt, long secluded in the depths of the palace, seemed to have no reason to call for me. As I recalled, in my childhood I often accompanied my mother to visit and play with my aunt. But after my mother passed away, my maternal family cut ties with the Giang clan. Entering the palace gates, the consort's maidservant came to receive me. Not long after, we arrived at the late emperor's rear palace quarters. The maid cautioned me solemnly, young Master Giang, Her Majesty is in confinement, so this rear palace is no longer as it was in the past. Please watch your words and actions, lest you give the opportunists an opening. In fact, I had just been wondering why there were no guards here. Weren't they worried about fires breaking out? Only the maid's reminder made me realize the Empress naturally needn't worry about the late Emperor's rear palace security. As she spoke these words, voices came from the distance. Two dashing young nobles approached me. I must admit, they were truly handsome, far more so than any idol group stars of my previous life. The two of them noticed me as well. Liu Ruyan spoke first. This young gentleman, could he be Her Majesty's new favorite? Could it be the new beauty the Emperor has found? The Emperor truly has an eye for beauty. The young master is indeed a handsome one, while Lai Yurua is an average beauty. I scoffed lightly, saying he is not the Emperor's man. This person has a distinguished air. His body exudes a faint aura of the martial arts. He must be the nephew of El Xing, the relative of that despicable woman. How uninteresting. What a waste of a fine horse. The two lightly laughed disdainfully. I turned and left. Er's little face flushed red. Head bowed, her little fists clenched tightly. But I would not indulge them. I, a mighty villain, a master of evil. How could I let two brats bully me? Hey, you mutts, the words you mutts slipped out. Looked up at me in shock. The two surnamed Liu were stunned upon hearing it, as if they hadn't expected me to curse them. Liu Rian casually asked, "Who are you?" "Whoever wants me to be," I replied. "Didn't your master teach you manners?" I patted Er's back reassuringly, telling him not to worry. Liu Rian and his companion grew enraged. They charged straight at me. "Do you know who my mistress is? You're courting death." I sneered mockingly. "Dogs should stay in their kennel and guard the house. Don't come out barking." Enraged, Liu Rian struck at me. I flung my fist directly at him. I raised an eyebrow slightly. I hadn't noticed before, but Liu Rian was only at the 6th level of inner strength. I merely raised my hand lightly to deflect his attack, then slapped Liu Rian's face with the back of my hand. Liu Rian was struck senseless, blood dripping from his mouth. He crumpled immediately. I grabbed his collar, lightly tapping his cheek. "So, will you still curse Liu Rian?" He could barely speak, only shaking his head frantically, but I acted as if I didn't see it, slapping him again. Liu Rian was dazed. I wouldn't stop until I beat him senseless. "Oh right, there's you too. Don't run away." I noticed Lai Yurua trying to flee. "Lai Yurua," I called out warningly. He turned and ran. This son of the Giang family has no martial ethics. Clearly at the 4th level, yet bullying two at the 6th. I grabbed Liu Rian's throat with my hand. "Zhang Xiao, you should show mercy." A man's voice rang out. Normally, I would have to slap him, but I'll hold back this time. The speaker exuded an aura of the 5th level, 3 drops. A level few men attain. I immediately knelt, greeting, "Lord Advisor." I saluted the advisor respectfully. He looked very familiar. From my childhood memories, often seen with my mother in my aunt's quarters. It seemed I was following my mother in my aunt's bedroom. "Liu Ruhua, what are you two doing here?" The voice sounded as cold as the Arctic ice. Liu Ruhua's face was covered in fear. "We were just taking a stroll," I lied. "Is this person going to hit us?" I remembered him saying, "The rear palace belongs to the Emperor's concubines. Even the Empress Dowager and her sisters are here. You must be respectful. You cannot wander around freely. You are shameless." At that moment, he looked like a demon crawling out of hell. "We really were just passing by. Please let us go. We won't dare enter the rear palace again." Liu Ruhua was about to cry from fear. I wondered why they were so afraid of him. Then I shall strike again, to test if my guess is correct. He insulted my aunt, so I hit them. Everything happened so fast. I just saw a blur. Liu Ruhua lay on the ground, her head lolling to the side. A trickle of red flowed from the corner of her mouth. "Throw Liu Ruhua out and clean up this mess," he casually ordered his servants. The vizier still had one left to kill. My sword has a nick left. He seemed eager to finish me off. The vizier looked amused as he glanced at me. You've made his face unrecognizable. Don't worry, that's worse than death for him. Go report back to noble consort Levi. The Lord Giang and I have things to discuss. I'll join you later. The servant, who was clearly familiar with the vizier, left after he arrived, no longer tense like before. The servant took me away once the fuss was over. The vizier was my traveling companion. I too had many questions. It seems he was involved in my invitation here today. How curious. Why would you help noble consort Levi? The vizier grinned slyly. Why so curious? It must be because you stole the late emperor's peaches. Of course I can't say that outright. I feigned confusion and nodded. Your mother. Noble consort Levi and I were once friends in our youth. The vizier looked nostalgic. Back then I didn't know Levi Xing's identity. I thought she was a commoner like me, at most a lady's maid. But 3 years later, when we returned from traveling in the capital, she was chosen as a noble consort. The vizier's expression turned sad, as if mourning his fate. At that time, I thought, as long as I could stay by her side, even without speaking. I was shocked. So that's why this old kid became a vizier? How clutch for a pulp fiction plot. As expected, there's always an unrequited love for someone related to the villain. I blurted out without thinking, so you silently guarded by my aunt's side, becoming her most devoted backup lover. A loyal dog, willing to protect her from the sidelines. Just being able to see her was enough. What do you mean by backup lover and loyal dog? Are those new slang terms from commoners? Zuo Shang couldn't understand the modern parlance, so he asked me about it. I scratched my head awkwardly. It just means you're very patient and persevering. Zuo Shang nodded in understanding. We walked in silence, soon arriving at noble consort Lv's palace quarters. The noble consort had already brewed 3 cups of tea, clearly having waited for some time. Your nephew greets you, noble consort. I made an exaggerated kowtowing motion. No need for such formalities when visiting your aunt. Get up, let me have a look at the dashing young man you've become. Noble consort Levi made to rise and help me up. I understood then. Her relationship with the Giang family seemed closer than outward appearances suggested. As if they were avoiding something. Damn this wretched pulp fiction. The whole thing just talked about how awesome Lin Pinggan was. All of a sudden catching on that the real mastermind behind the Hongyang case years ago was never explained in the Giang who, for various reasons. The whole. Now I only vaguely remember the Lin Pinggan incident. The other details aren't very clear. No need to help me up, auntie. I'm not a child anymore. I smiled as I stood up, guiding my aunt to sit back down. The 3 of us then sat around the table, savoring the exquisite palace delicacies. To be honest, I felt noble consort Lv's dietary standards were not as high as the Giang family's. Perhaps it was because the empress was in power, causing the rear palace to fall out of favor. There were plenty of rare delicacies, but no medicinal pills to be found. Why aren't you eating? Is the food here not up to your usual standards? Zuo Sheng noticed my hesitation. Even if the empress no longer favors the rear palace, she should not treat the late emperor's wives this way. I want to hear the empress perspective from you, noble consort. Noble consort Levi sighed, nodding at Zuo Sheng. Zuo Sheng gestured, setting up a sound barrier in the room. The reason I called you here today is to ask you, with all this unrest happening in the capital lately, is Zhang Wuxing preparing to make his move? Noble consort Levi asked with worry. I raised an eyebrow, thinking to myself, as expected. If it was just the Zhang family alone daring to launch a coup as the original story described, that would be something only a brainless villain would do. So there were other forces involved as well. I'm not really sure about father's plans either. He doesn't tell me everything. I'm being quite cautious, not directly admitting to my father's intention to rebel. Why pretend with your aunt? The Hongyang chaos 20 years ago was something we collaborated on with your father, noble consort Levi said with a reminiscent look. It's just that back then, I don't know why, at the critical moment, your father made some decision and took away my imperial son, using a fake death ploy to deceive you. Wait, in my past life reading the novel, was that scene like this? I must have missed it. Such an important plot point. Did the original really change? Hearing my aunt's account, although the Hongyang disaster was instigated by my father, in the end, it spun out of his control. I frowned slightly. So his aim was to overthrow my aunt? I really didn't know about my father's plans. Nowadays, my high-profile actions in the capital are my own idea. Your own thoughts? I see. Noble consort Levi gradually fell silent. I just want to get my son back soon. I wonder if he has grown into a strapping young man like you, whether he studied martial arts or the scholarly arts. Is he tall or short? Noble consort Levi seemed overcome with longing, endlessly muttering into my ear. Auntie, don't be so hard on him. The previously silent Zuo Shang finally spoke up to counsel her, snapping out of her reverie. She realized she had lost her composure. Adjusting her emotions, she returned to her usual genial elderly manner. I suddenly thought of something I could ask my aunt and Zuo Shang for help with, so I spoke up and said, is he tall or short? Noble consort Levi seemed overcome with longing, endlessly muttering into my ear. Auntie, don't be so hard on him. The previously silent Zuo Shang finally spoke up to counsel her. Snapping out of her reverie, she realized she had lost her composure. Adjusting her emotions, she returned to her usual genial elderly manner. I suddenly thought of something I could ask my aunt and Zuo Shang for help with, so I spoke up and said,